Okay, so like I said, this class is an introductory class on fundamental analysis, right? Now, fundamental analysis is one of the analysis that we do in the market to help us understand what to do in the market, how to buy, how to sell. When we enter a trade for a buy, when we enter a trade for a sell, fundamental analysis is one of the analyses that we do. There are other analyses, right? We have fundamental analysis, we have technical analysis, we have sentiment analysis. We have fundamental analysis, we have technical analysis, we have sentiment analysis. So fundamental analysis is the beginning of this whole process. Understanding this whole thing starts with fundamental analysis, right? Yesterday, we talked about a few things about money management, risk management, and then I did a video. The video I did on that I have posted in the group. So if you've not gone through that, kindly go back and do that. Thank you. Right. So for fundamental analysis, the way to begin to understand fundamental analysis is to begin to understand what moves the market. Now, when you go to any chart, whether it's the chart of Bitcoin or it's the chart of Euro USD or it's the chart of whatever chart you go to, or gold, okay, whichever chart you go to, you will discover that it's moving up or it's coming down per time. It's moving up or it's coming down per time. But the question is, what is it that moves this market? What is it that makes it go up? What is it that makes it go down? What is it that makes it go up, and what is it that make it come down, right? So fundamental, and there are lots of things, right? There are lots of things, but one of the major things is fundamental analysis. And fundamental analysis is basically the events that are going on in the world. The events that are going on in the world. So fundamental analysis has to do with world events, how world events affect the market, how world events affect the market. So what are some world events that are happening right now? Number one, Russia war, Russia-Ukraine war is one of the Ukraine, right? What Russia-Ukraine war is one of the things that's affecting the world right now. Okay, is affecting the world right now. That's an economic, that's a world event. Okay, so we have world events, we have economic events. So this is one of the world events that's happening right now in the world. Who else? What other world event is happening right now? Right? So now let's go to economic events. That's a world event. So when we think about any other world event, we'll add it to that. So we have economic events. Economic events. So economic events are happening right now. Number one, there's an event, and these economic events, and they are usually tied around the major economies. Major economies like the US economy, the UK economy, the European economy, the EU economy. We're talking about the Japanese economy. We're talking about the Canadian economy. We're talking about the Australian economy. These are the economies of the major economies in the world. These are the major economies in the world, right? So these events are usually tied around these economies. Because think about it, the economies of the world, and let's take the US economy as an example. The economies of the world, the currency of the economy is actually like the stock of a company. So if you know what a stock of a company is, the stock performs as well as the company performs. If the company is doing well, the stock price is likely to appreciate. For example, there's a company now called NVIDIA. I'm sure many of us haven't even heard the word NVIDIA. We've heard of Microsoft, we've heard of Tesla, we've heard of all these stocks, but we haven't probably heard of NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a stock that just shot to the limelight a few months ago, or well, it's been off for a while now, right? But then over the past few days, it has just it has just gone really high in price. And the reason why it's gone so high in price is because they are taking advantage of this artificial intelligence, industry that is opening right now. Why did I mention NVIDIA? I mentioned NVIDIA because right now they are stock. They just became the number 5 company in the United States to hit a $1 trillion market capitalization, right? Now, why are they doing so well? They are doing so well because the company itself is doing well, and they are saying that they are going to capitalize really massively on this AI, artificial intelligence industry that is coming up right now. So what I'm trying to say is that the stock price of a company does well when the company itself does well. That's also the way you look at Forex. You look at the currency in the world, like the US dollar is the currency of the US economy. The US dollar is the currency of the US economy, just like the Nigerian naira is the currency of the Nigerian economy. The reason why the naira as a currency is not doing well is because the Nigerian economy itself is not doing well and hasn't been doing well for a while because of definitely the leadership of the country and all that, right? Now, but when you look at the economy of the US, you see something different, right? So think about it. Every time that there's an economic event that affects the US economy, you will see the effect of that on the US dollar itself. You will see the effect of what's happening on the US dollar itself. That's the way it works, right? So now, for example, today now there is an event called the non-farm payroll. Non-farm payrolls. Now, these non-farm payrolls is about the employment markets in the US, the employment market. Okay, the employment market in the US is doing very, very well, right? The employment market is doing very well. But then over the past few months, over the past few years, there's been a lot of inflation and all of that because of the war and all those things. Whenever, I won't go into all that right now, I just want to go into explain a few things about economic events. This data right now, whenever it comes out and it shows that the employment numbers are high, which means that the job market, a lot of new, they bring it, this report comes out every month, comes out every first Friday of the month, like today now, it's coming out today by 1:30, right? So I did a voice note in the group and I said, okay, this was going to happen, this was going to happen. If you've not listened to it, kindly listen to it. Now, what happens is that when it comes out and the numbers are high, it means that a lot of people got new jobs. A lot of new jobs were created in the past 1 month. It means that a lot of new jobs were created in the past 1 month. And that's the reason why the job numbers are high. And that means that the economy is doing well. When an economy is doing well, that's when jobs are being created. In a country like Nigeria now, when the real unemployment rate is actually more than 50%, right? That the real employment, not the one that they are talking about, but the real employment rate is over 50%. Now, why is that? Why is that so? Because the economy is not doing well. If the economy is doing well, the country is doing well, there'll be a lot more people getting new jobs. There'll be a lot of people getting jobs, right? So basically, that's what it is. That's what it is. So this is one of the economic event that comes out in the world. Another one is what you call CPI. CPI is what you call Consumer Price Index. Consumer Price Index. Consumer Price Index is the next one, right? So that's also a very important data. That's also a very important data that comes out every month. And this comes out every month too. It has to do with the inflation. How are the prices of goods increasing? The prices of goods, are they increasing or are they decreasing? The prices of goods, are they increasing or are they decreasing? All of that matters in an economy. All of that matters in an economy, right? So those are the things we are looking at. And whenever this news event comes out, they are the ones moving the market. They are moving the market. Okay. So now let's go to a particular website. There are two websites that we usually will look for when these things happen. when we're looking for economic event. This is something you always need to look at. You always need to look at this before you trade, because this is one of the major things that move the market. Okay, so look at this. Look at today now. We have the ones that are in red is the one we're looking at. So this is Nigerian time. This is 11:28 Nigerian time, right? GMT +1. Then we have 1:30. We have news event for 1:30 p.m. So you see there are three things there. All of them are affecting the dollar. They are affecting the US dollar. This red you are seeing, when you put a cursor beside it, what happens? It shows you is high impact expected. This is a major market moving event. That's what it's telling us. It's telling us that when this comes out, the market is going to really move the market. So this is one of the things that move the market. When you say, okay, what's moving the market? How do I know where the market will be going? Because when you know where the market is going, when you know where the market will be going, that's what we call volatility. That's how you make money. If the market is not moving, you can't make money. If the market is not moving, you can't make money. Just like when the market is closed on during the weekends, you can't move. You can't make money. Or if the market is moving, the market is open. If the market is open, yet the market is slow, there's not much activity in the market, you cannot make money. Just like maybe during holidays, during times of holidays, the market is not moving like that. You can't make money from it. So this is the reason why we are looking for what is going to move market. That's why we are interested in what's moving the market, because when the market moves, that's when we make money. So today now we have 1:30 news event happening. So we have average hourly earnings. Then we have non-farm employment change. This is the one I'm calling non-farm payroll as well. It's also called non-farm payroll, NFP, right? Then we have unemployment rate. We have unemployment rate, right? So what usually will happen is that you will see previous, you see forecast, you see actual. Previous, forecast, actual, right? So now the previous is what happened last month. I said this data is released every month. It comes out every first Friday of the month. So for last month, the numbers or the numbers of new jobs, the number of new jobs that were created in the United States in that 1 month was 253,000 people, new jobs. So that was the new jobs that were created last month. Okay, now forecast, it is now analysts, usually the analysts at big banks like JP Morgan, you know, all these big American banks, Bank of America, they usually have these things they call forecasts. So what they do is that they're economists. They look into a whole lot of data. They'll look at a lot of data from what has been happening since this was released. Now, this was released last month. Now, from last month until now, a lot of things have happened within the US economy. A lot of things have happened within the US economy. So what these analysts do and these economists, what they do is that they take all this data, they try to look into all this data that has all these things have been happening over the past 1 month. And then they make a forecast, they make a prediction that, okay, this is going into this new month, this is what we are expecting. This is the number of new jobs that we are expecting in the new month. And it's 193,000. So for this report that is going to come out today, that is going to be released today, economists are predicting that the number of new jobs that are going to be released is 193,000. 193K as against 253,000 last month. So you see, they are saying that the number of jobs for this month, this past month, is going to be lesser than the one for last month. Now, how do we know if that is going to be true or not? We don't know, because this data right here is very highly protected because it's money. If you know where this data is going to go, this data now, if you know the direction is going to come out, if you know exactly what this number is going to be that is going to come out, you can make a lot of money with it. That's it, because this is moving the market. If it moves the market to sell, if you know what the data is that's going to be released by 1:30 today, if you have a way of knowing ahead of time, It means that you will be able to know and predict correctly where the market is going to go. If the market is going to be going to sell, you will sell just before the news is released, and you will make a lot of money from it. If the numbers are, if you know what the numbers are, and then you predict that this thing is going to lead to a buy, you will buy just before the news comes out, and you will make a lot of money without doing anything. This is the reason why they guard it very carefully. They don't release it until that moment. Even if even where this data is collected, except those that are in that department and are very closely are very, they have the clearance, right? Basically the clearance to know this data. Not everybody can know it, even in that department. It's so closely guarded. And that's the way it is all over the world, right? I was reading the other day of a story how somebody, a particular guy in the in Australia, who was getting this data. He was getting it, he was working in the department. He was getting this data and he was passing it on to somebody else. That guy was using it to make millions every month. He was making predictions in the market and he was making money consistently every month. Every month, every time that this data is released, this guy will make a lot of money. So the broker he's working with started wondering, right? A particular broker in Australia, they started wondering, why is this guy always trading on this particular day and always making a lot of money? In fact, there are times he will make $1 million on one day, in one day. He will make 1 point something million in one day, dollars. So they started wondering, why is it that this guy is always winning? They eventually investigated and found out that he knew somebody that was in the office, the office that collates this data. He knew somebody there. That one was also hoping to make money from it. Eventually, that guy went to jail for it. He went to jail for leaking this data. It's called insider trading. So they want to make sure that this thing is highly guarded. So for us that don't know, of course, we don't know what's going to come out. But then at that time that is coming out, we are going to be there watching it to see what happens. When that happens, we also will know what to do. We may not trade immediately the result is released, but we'll trade just after that, because at least it will give us clarity, to give us understanding of how the market is going to go. Usually when this report is out and the market goes to sell, it's likely to continue selling. When it goes to buy, it's likely to continue buying, right? So we don't know yet if this data is going to be 193 or it's going to be more or it's going to be less. We don't know yet. So that's the reason why we're just going to hold on and wait for the market, wait for this particular data to be released. It's going to be released 1:30 p.m. Nigerian time, right? Then we have the next one, which is unemployment rate. Now, unemployment rate last month in the US was 3.4%. That is probably the lowest unemployment rate you will find in the world right now. That's probably the lowest unemployment rate you'll find in the world right now. And that data was, is being projected now, right now, that it's going to increase a little this year. It's going to increase a little this month, right? To 3.5%. Is that going to happen? We don't know. So a combination of all this data right here, if this data, if it comes out like this, it will push the price in a particular direction. Most likely it will make dollar to continue to sell. The US dollar is selling right now. If it comes out like this, it most likely will make the dollar continue to sell. If the direction changes, dollar might begin to buy. You see? So if you are in a trade at that time, you can discover that your trade was correct before the news comes out. If the news comes out in a different way, it can change the way the market is going and literally turn your trade around. So this is the reason why you want to be cautious when going into this news. So there are lots of news events in the market. So this is where you come to. There are two websites that we use most of the time. There are two websites we use. Okay. We have www.forexfactory.com, forexfactory.com. Then we have another one, www.investing.com, investing.com. Okay, investing.com. Let me get the exact URL so that investing.com, let's get the exact URL so that you know exactly what to do. Economic calendar. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so that is we have forexfactory.com. We have forexfactory.com, then we have investing.com/economic calendar. So when you copy this link into your browser, it will take you to the exact place where the economic calendar is. So what you are looking for on Forex Factory, you are looking for the news event that show red, that has a red folder. Red folder. Red folder. That's what you're looking for when you go to invest Forex Factory. You're looking for red folder. Now we can see that we have yellow folder, we have a gray folder, then we have red folder. We have yellow folder, gray folder, red folder. So the red folder ones are the most important ones, and those are the ones we are looking for. You see? So those are the ones we're looking for. For example, now look at this one: CPI, CHF, USD, ISM, AUD cash rate. All these ones are red folder. They are very important. And then also take note of the currency that's associated with them. Those are the ones that is going to affect the most. Like this one now, cash rate is going to affect the AUD the most. AUD pairs like AUD USD, AUD JPY, AUD CHF, all those pairs that have AUD are the ones that are going to be affected by this red folder that's here right now. They're going to be affected by this red folder that's here right now, right? So this is the way it is, and this is what we need to look at. Now, you don't need to use both of them together, the two economic calendars together, right? You don't need to use both of them together. You can just use one. You can just, most of the time I use just Forex Factory. I don't really use investing.com all the time, though I can use it as well. They are basically the same. They are the same. So I can use whichever one I want to use, I'll use, but most of the time I tend to use the Forex Factory a lot. And the reason is just because it's easier to navigate. It's much easier to navigate. So that's why I like to stay with this one, Forex Factory more, right? So whenever that event is coming out, though we always have updates every week on which events are coming out. Like today now, I've said that non-farm payroll is coming out. These numbers, these three of them put together, they're coming out this afternoon. Then during this weekend, let's check out something. During this weekend, there's going to be an event that will affect crude oil. We've said before that there are several instruments you can trade in the market, right? Several instruments you can trade in the market. Number one, you have currencies, you have crude, you have commodities like oil and gold. Like oil and gold, you have currencies like euro, US dollar, and so on and so forth. Then you have cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, right? You have indices. Then you have commodities like oil and gold, right? So this weekend, right now, there's going to be an event that affects the OPEC. So they actually call them OPEC Plus. Now, the reason they call them OPEC Plus is because we already know the OPEC countries. OPEC, the Organization of Producing Countries, right? We have they usually they have those meetings in Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is the largest producer of oil in the world. Okay, then they usually have it in Saudi Arabia. Then most of the countries in Africa are part of it. Or basically, most oil producing countries are part of the OPEC. All right, but they joined up with Russia. That's where they have the OPEC Plus. So Russia is now part of OPEC Plus. So what they do is that they usually have these periodic meetings where they determine how many barrels of oil they want to push out into the world every day. There's a number of barrels that they've agreed, because remember, these countries are producing oil. They have a lot of reserves in their oil wells around the world, but they don't want to bring everything to the surface at the same time. And the reason why they don't want to bring everything to the surface at the same time, that will lead to a lot of supply. And there's not enough demand to take up all that supply. So what happens when demand is low and supply is high? It will lead to price reduction. And the truth is that who benefits when the price is low? Nobody. Everybody wants the price to be high because of the money that they want to make. So what they usually do periodically is that they will come and they would usually they have a particular number they are pumping out today now. They will cut it by a certain amount. They might cut it by 1 million barrels and say, okay, we are going to reduce our production by 1 million barrels per day. So every single day they reduce their production by 1 million barrels. So they now split it and say, okay, so you guys, this country, you reduce your own barrels, you reduce your own barrel, you reduce like that. They decide the number of barrels they want to remove, they want to cut. And then whenever they do that, they are basically reducing supply. Whenever they do that, they are basically reducing supply. And whenever they reduce supply, what happens to price? Price will go up because demand remains the same. When you reduce supply, price goes up. And that is what they are looking for. They want price to rise so that they can make more money for the barrels that they are selling. They don't want the price of oil to be low. Look at, this is US oil. This US oil, this Brent crude. Brent crude is what you call the UK oil. They call it UK oil. There's UK oil, there's US oil, right? You can see Brent crude now is at $75, $75.3, while US dollar is at, while the US oil is at $71. So since this meeting now, they're having it during this weekend. They usually have these meetings during weekends. Now you can come on Monday now, you will discover that this price, if they cut barrel, if they cut their production, you might see that this 71 barrel you are seeing, $71 per barrel now, can shoot to 80 or even 80 something. It will just fly, go up. So for those who are buying oil now, who are traders of oil, some of them, since they already know what's going to happen tomorrow, what's likely to happen, even though you cannot be certain, these are economic events, these are world events, economic events. You can never be certain how exactly it's going to play out. So it's a risk that you're taking if you decide now, okay, I'm going to go and buy oil because I know that the price is going to rise. You don't know. They may also decide that, okay, the cuts they might do may be so small that it doesn't affect the market. But then if the cuts that they do, if they cut the production and it's really much that they cut, maybe they cut 2 million barrels, you will see that price will jump on Monday morning and price will just jump from 70 something to maybe 80 something, right? So that's another economic event that happens. And every time that economic event happens, it's going to definitely affect the price of crude oil. And then if you're in a buy on crude oil at that time, you are making a lot of money. You see? A few years ago, when Iran shot a particular missile into Saudi Arabia and destroyed 5 million barrels of oil in Saudi Arabia in their reserves, what happened? The price of oil went up. Why did it go up? It went up because 5 million barrels of oil just went to nothing. That means the supply has been reduced. Anytime supply reduces, price will go up. You see, anytime supply reduces, price will go up. That's also during COVID. What happened? The price of oil went to -0, went to negative for a short period of time. Why? Because everybody was locked down, no more demand. Yet there was supply, no more demand. Nobody is going out. Lockdown here and there, lockdown all over the world. US lockdown, UK lockdown, everywhere around the world. China lockdown, all over the world. In Africa, lockdown. So who's going to be using the barrels of oil? Nobody. Vehicles are the ones that use crude oil more than anybody else. Now that they are not in the market, what's going to happen? Nothing. You see? So that's one reason that the price of oil collapsed at that time. So these are a lot of the events that will happen and then that move the market. So what we do every week is that we give you updates in the groups, helping you understand what is likely to move the market today, what's likely to move the market today, what's likely to move the market, so that you are cautious in your trading. Even when we've given you a trade, we can tell you that, oh, hold on, don't take this trade, cancel this trade because a news event is coming. Right? This morning I'm not trading because there's a news event coming and it's likely going to be high impact. I don't want to be the one that the trade is running. The market, the news comes out and it's affecting the market massively and I'm trading. Because it can be positive, it can be negative, but there's no way you are going to know. If it's positive, it's good, but what is negative? You are losing money. You see? So that's the reason why we want to make sure that we are we hold on and wait for the news to come out first. When the news comes out, that's when we now see the direction the news is going, the market is going, and before we begin to trade, before we are able to trade, right? So these events are always coming out. Like I said, there are events for US, there are the events for the US economy, there are events for the Australian economy, the Great Britain economy, all the economies around the world. There are news events that affect their economies. And then when those news events affect their economies, it means it also affects the currency. So this is one of the major things that moves the market. Okay, like I said, this is an introductory class. We are still going, we're not done with this class yet. There are lots of other things we're going to talk about in another class, but we shouldn't put them together in one class, right? So we'll